Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's been a long time coming. We have missed, the Leagues Cup taking over the U.S. Open Cup, Austin FC crapping the bed against Violet AC, the European Super League kind of making its way back, but not so certain, but it's kind of making its way back. Fort Madison, Greenville, Tormenta, and North Carolina FC decided about every part of USL League One. Brandon, oddly enough, has another job, I think. Chip traveled the world to France, and Kyle has finally came out and said, fuck them kids, because he is tired. Welcome to the show. That's everything. That's the prediction show. Have a great week. See you next week. No, I'm joking. All right, y'all. It's here. We're about 7 days away from USL League One. On the show tonight, I have Chip. How are you doing, bud?
Good. Still a little jet lag, but ready to talk some League One and probably piss off some Omaha fans, unfortunately.
Have you started hallucinating yet?
No, not quite.
Okay. So we're about, 6 hours away from hallucination?
So that'll be like halfway through the show tonight because it's preseason pick.
Bet. All right. And the guy below me with his locks going frontward, looking all cute and stuff, is Mr. Kyle Carr. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Preparing for this next round of a winter storm, so can't wait to wake up at 5 a.m. to shovel this driveway. I love it.
You don't understand how badly I want snow right now living in Virginia.
No, you can take this shit. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
That's fine. I stay in the house.
I want to say that, but I still got to get up and still shovel the driveway. I still got to shovel, so regardless.
Oh, that's right. You got a job. See, as a teacher, when it snows, I don't go to work. So that's
yeah.
Yeah,
my job's unless the kids are home, you're pretty much working. It's like, well, shit, I can't get out of it because daycare's always open.
Sucks to be you.
I mean, I'm paying the money. It might as well be
right.
open.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, last but not least, the guy that is the favor of the eye of USL Championship Overlord Soccer. It's Mr. Brandon. How are you doing, sir? You have made appearances on USL Tactics, I think Backheeled, the USL show, League One Updater. What other shows have you been on since we've been on break?
I was on the Ford Madison podcast for a while. I've been on that one. I think that's it though. I think really only the Ford Madison podcast outside of this. And Backfield hasn't invited me yet, but call me, okay?
Okay. All right. Guys, we got a lot to go over. Of course, tonight is our prediction show. But before we go into that, we just want to say if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. If you're listening to us on podcast, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with a friend. In years past, we were the only League One show. Well, actually, I think the last 2 years, right, Kyle?
Yes, we're the only show that was dedicated to League One.
Yeah. And now we got, 4 different shows? We got League One Updater, we got League One on the Rocks, and we have League One Under the Sea.
Yes, the protagonist one, yeah.
So, okay, I got to ask this. I haven't listened to the protagonist one. I listened to all the other ones. But the protagonist one, is their theme song Little Mermaid expired? Like, it has to be if it's League One Under the Sea, right?
No, it's just a dad joke.
Yeah, no.
Because it's under the championship, under the sea.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
saying,
then the
like,
color's steel, so it's...
But the
like
theme song has to be
underwater.
Little Mermaid-esque.
Oh.
I mean, the brand is definitely, nautical.
It needs to be fixed.
Hold on, time out. Chip, you didn't understand what I was talking about?
No, I thought you were I did not.
You both came at it from different angles, which are both correct. Chip is coming through with the wordplay dad joke aspect of it, under the sea, sea for championship, which is correct. And Yogi, you're coming from it from a literal, this is branded nautical
under the sea.
Yeah. I just need Sebastian the Crab to come out there.
They're both right.
It's there. Okay, all right.
The ones I've listened to didn't have it.
Well,
they need to fix it though. Hey, y'all fix that. Next episode.
Right, I need that. So we got 4 different podcasts, so make sure you go support them as well. But make sure you support us. First and foremost. But yo, guys, before we get into the producers and everything like that, I think we got a lot of league news to talk about. We got U.S. Open Cup, some cool things that are happening there. But look, it's the little one. He's back.
He just popped right up.
Right. It looks so disappointed in the background. She's just like, God damn it, just take the kid.
It's like this has started again.
Right. Sterling's like, I'm going to flip over this laptop and ruin everything you do. All right. I'm sorry getting distracted because we're trying to do the show quicker this year. We got U.S. Open Cup news to talk about. We have jerseys that are possibly coming out. We got some stadium updates, team updates. Chip, I'm going to toss it to you first. What are some league news that everyone needs to know and keep up to date with, sir?
So something that I just saw, it's been a long-running joke on this podcast that USL to Portland has just been one giant like merch selling scheme. They actually had an interview out today with the president of their team, which we've retweeted with a semi-snarky joke. As well as the comment of they are planning on finalizing a stadium deal and joining the league in 2024. So that would make them the third team announced if that gets done here in a relative fashion. So, super exciting way to kind of announce that that's actually happening instead of how it's been before, where it's just, here's their merch line. Go buy a Forest City shirt or something. So that'd be cool if that gets done. Another new part of the country where there's not a League One team, and another person for us all to plan away days to.
All right. Brandon, sir, any League One news you need to keep up outside of Backhill contacting you through your agent?
Yeah, contact me. My agent, my wife. You can contact my wife. That's all my books.
I think I work for all our agents.
Let's see. I don't have anything today that I can think of. Nothing that is more exciting outside of that USL to Portland thing. I think having a new team is going to be the biggest thing I can think of.
All right, Kyle, sir, anything on your end?
No. I did talk to Kristen Cheney. So he kind of talked about pretty much his upbringing. He also, for those that are curious, did talk about what made him choose Madison over Fresno, or like what motivated it. So I will plug the work I did at New Dogma. We did talk to Kristen Cheney. It'll be out tomorrow. I think it's interesting for those that are kind of wondering what the hell potentially happened.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to this.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's a long episode. I will forewarn everyone. It is long.
I mean, hey, aren't all podcasts long episodes?
I mean,
Yeah.
Kristen Cheney, now that I've met him and talked to him a few times, he is definitely like, he's going to be like the guy that tries to keep it all together. He's an easy guy to talk to. So.
All right, there we go. Well, that's the exclusive, y'all. Let's pivot real quick. U.S. Open Cup is starting, I believe, in 2 weeks. Correct? March 22nd, 24th ish.
Yep.
Also got some exciting news out of that BR Football, the former home of the Champions League, were still holding. I mean, that's still holding. Steve Nash was telling us football tactics, which. Still, I can't wrap my mind. That man went from telling us Champions League tactics to coaching the Brooklyn Nets. Still don't get it.
And he failed at both of those things. Anyway.
Horribly.
Horribly.
Like, I remember they did a whole segment on this man being a Spurs fan, and it was the most depressing thing ever. But so their USL Championship, or really U.S. Soccer, has struck a deal with BR Football to stream all of the football matches live through their app and on YouTube. The downside of that is they are not doing, what was it, like 70% of the third round games?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Well, it's not like any of them. There's 4 League One matches in the second round they're doing. I think they're doing 6 or 7 in the first round, and then 8 of the 24 matches in the third round are being televised.
Yeah. And then it's left up to the other teams of these lower division sides that's already not on big budgets or any budgets at all to kind of stream their matches by themselves or provide any kind of update.
Which honestly, though, if you're the home team, why would you even do that? It's like, you want to see us? Come pay $10. You can come down and watch us Tuesday night. Right. Like, why would you? So it's like the onus is almost on the away fans because, I mean, so Omaha's playing El Paso I gotta imagine there's not a lot of El Paso fans coming out to Omaha. So it's like, how are you gonna watch the game? Like, is El Paso even gonna send someone to live tweet it?
Probably not.
I mean, if you're an
But
MLS,
Oh, we
yeah, I
were
was just gonna say the matches that involve USL teams, but Chip, go ahead and finish what you were gonna say.
and I was just gonna say, if you're an MLS team in the third round, why would you even tweet about the game if you lose? Like, if let's say hypothetically Omaha wins, and the Chicago Fire come to Omaha, like, I mean, don't even post a graphic, send MLS2 guys, and if you win, you post something, say on to the fourth round, and if not, you just pretend it never happened.
Be like, we're pretending for the League's Cup.
Yeah, it's like there's not on TV. Like, you didn't see this match. Like, it seems like a real big setback, especially because those early rounds are the rounds where we're going to see upsets, whether they involve the amateur teams and USL 1 and C are USL 1 and C teams over an MLS team or anything like that. So it's kind of unfortunate because, especially as a lower league fan, those are the ones that I want to see, is because I want to cheer for all my fellow lower league teams to knock off teams from the higher divisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the teams in USL 1 now get their match featured. Lexington and their match against Louisville, which is smart. I would definitely do that. NOCO against Colorado Springs. NOCO beat them last year, so it'll be interesting to see if that happens again. And then Greenville and Phoenix, where I think that's going to be an intriguing matchup because Phoenix most of the time has been a consistent Western Conference contender. And then Greenville's gonna have to go there. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. And then the last one, Richmond Kickers against Cleveland or Lions Bridge. That will be the other feature match. So those are the ones that involve USL League One teams.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems like a deal that when I first saw it, I was excited because I was like, all right, cool. Most important thing, like, oh, it's free. Like, it's not behind a paywall. But the more you read the details of it, the more you see it, you kind of feel like they waited to the 11th hour to really put something together where if they would have took the time to really do this, why not put this along with CBS? Where they already do a lot of the CONCACAF coverage. They have NWSL. Just lump, U.S. soccer into that, start on with the third round.
They're going to have the whole live, like 24/7 channel or app, whatever, the Golazo stuff.
Yeah.
Put it on there.
Well, I think the real thing is HBO probably just said, yeah, we don't want this. And so they had to shop around for somebody to do something with it. And I'm guessing Bleacher Report was the only bidder.
Yeah.
Would be my
I don't
guess.
know. It's sad. I mean, it is disappointing. Hopefully things can improve because it seems like ESPN, Fox are kind of pulling back their soccer coverage. So hopefully, this time next year, we're talking in better terms of this coverage. But it's time to get started, y'all. It's prediction time. So we have a couple of questions that we have all done our predictions for. We did a fan survey that I was pleasantly surprised on. We got a lot of engagement on. Left our predictions. Kyle's making that face because there are some predictions in there that we have talked about. So some of the things that we talked about was who's going to be the Golden Boot winner, who's going to win MVP, who's going to be the Dark Horse MVP, Coach of the Year's conversation, who's going to be the newcomer of the year, assist leader, defender of the year, keeper of the year, and always, we keep it on brand here at Walking 90, your vibes and your chaos team of the year. So, guys, I say we get started with Golden Boot. So last year, Golden Boot winner was not the 1, not the 2, but the 3-time back-to-back Golden Boot winner, Emiliano Terzaghi. Year after year after year, people have doubted this man. He's gone on to win this award. Does he win it for a 4th time in a row, y'all?
I'm at the point where it's kind of like back in the day where it was like Tiger Woods or Serena Williams versus the field. And I'm now at the point where I'm just going to take the one person against the field. So I am picking Terzaghi this year.
I also have Emilio Terzaghi winning. Again, he's won it 3 years. It's not been particularly close any of the years. And, again, he lost Bolaños, who helped out a lot. But as we'll see when we get to my assist leader, I've got a joke there. But, until proven otherwise, like, yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Like, why is he even still in this league? Like, go play in championship.
Oh, because we play a lot of money to him.
Yeah, stop bullying us.
As you should. As you
You
should.
should.
Pay a lot of money to him.
Yeah,
Pretty much
Stop-
told that man, whatever you want, you can have.
I mean, go see if you can do it in El Paso, Terzaghi. You know,
No.
I heard Colorado Springs is real lovely.
No, absolutely not.
Just wants him gone.
It's
Um,
gone. Same with
Pittsburgh needs
the-
a new striker.
Right. Well, same with the other pick that we're going to get to. He should. The fact that he's still in this league this year is criminal. Like it's
That-
criminal.
That one shocked me a little bit more. That one shocked me a little bit more. So for me personally, I went Keziah Sterling. Now look, the league had to kind of doctor it last year where they had to be like, oh, we're gonna add in playoff goals towards the Golden Boot race. To try to make it seem like there was real competition, but there wasn't. But I'm going with him. Was his second year back? I mean, it just between him and Terzaghi, you can't go wrong.
Those
Well,
are all the
thing is,
very
he
safe
too
bets.
is- Yeah, it's very safe. And he hadn't had much playing time before he came to Torment, and now he's got a full year under his belt.
Mhm.
You know, like constant playing time.
Well,
So
and he
that's
got
scary.
better.
Yeah,
He
that's
got
what
better
it's
as the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I thought that Kingsford was going to be their big guy, especially early on, but then Sterling really like turned it on in the last half of the year, and that's the big reason why they lifted the cup last year, and everyone else didn't.
No doubt.
Pete, who did you have, sir?
I'm going out on a limb here, and you'll see it later too. I'm going with Garrett McLaughlin.
Okay.
He had 15 last year. That's 2 off of Terzaghi, and I think that if anything, with one of the most creative players and Luis Perez coming in, and the like Shaq Adams and Olix being back, I can't see him not getting more goals. So I
Yeah.
think it'd be
Hey,
crazy.
look, he was my pick. I think he was my pick last year.
He was your pick last year.
He was.
Yeah, he came close. He came close.
Yeah.
So it's
So I
not
think he can
bad.
get it this year.
Not a bad choice there. So the fans' pick was between Sterling and Terzaghi. So I mean, it doesn't seem like we're way off with the fans out there thinking. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, nonetheless.
I think this will be a close. I think it'll be a close Golden Boot race. I feel like almost every team in the league has a top level striker that could theoretically contend for a Golden Boot.
Yeah. What? Let me ask you this before we move into the next question. Real quick, give me a number that you think will win the Golden Boot race this year. Chip.
And we added 2 goals. So last year it was 17 for Terzaghi, right?
Mm-hmm.
18.
18.
18. I'm being very safe with this one.
Brandon. what you
To
got?
win the Golden Boot, I'm going to say 8. I was going to say 18 as well. I think 18 is just a safe number. I think we're going to have more goals this year, so I'm going to go with 18 as well.
Kyle.
I legit think 20. I think someone will get to 20 this year. I don't know who, but I feel like someone's going to get to 20.
What's the record? 22 by Terzaghi?
In a season?
Yeah, I think it's
I don't think
22.
I don't think anyone's gotten past 20.
I think
I'm going to look.
I
Hold
think
on.
it's 22.
Terzaghi has the record though.
Yeah, I know he has the
yes.
record. So is it 22 though? That's what I can't remember.
Checking.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I think 22. Oh, 18.
Yeah,
It's
Terzaghi has 18 in 2021.
okay, that's what it is. I'm going 22. I think 22 wins the Golden Boot this year. Just with the extra games added on. And we're not talking about guys that just came in. We're talking about like guys that have been here for a while. Terzaghi, Sterling, McLaughlin, possibly Cheney. I'm going 22. I think 22 can do it. It would be interesting. All right. So now we move on to the same guy that's won the MVP back to back to back. The first ever 3-time league MVP in U.S. soccer history. There was a little controversy around that, especially on my end, because I was going Bolaños. Like I had that written in. But for MVP, y'all, I'm gonna start off with the fan pick. The fans picked Keziah Sterling. 3 out of 4 of us picked Keziah Sterling. The only person to differ was Chip, and he went Terzaghi.
again, last year Terzaghi wasn't even the best guy on his team, and they still gave it to him. Like, I don't know. This league likes giving goals to the person who scores a lot of goals. If I have Terzaghi as my Golden Boot winner, and I think, as we'll talk about later, I have Richmond pretty good this year as well. It's pretty hard not to give it to him just based on the previous standards that the league has used. Like, I don't know. It's not like they're just going to give it to Arthur Rogers with 4 goals and 16 assists on a 8th place NOCO team all of a sudden.
Look, even his own coach said, I don't know if y'all saw the little video they did where they got their awards. Even his own coach was like, I don't know how you won Defender of the Year, but you won it. So even his own coach knows something is up.
Well, right. It's like when Dami won, and it's like, yeah, I mean, he's essentially a left wing. Like at the end of the year when we played our best, he was at left wing. And so Madison's new left back was our left back, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Jacob
All
Kroll.
right.
Yeah, Kroll was our left back. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm jet lagged still.
The loopiness has begun, folks.
Chip was just tired of being wrong. That's why he's picking Terzaghi for everything.
Well, right. I mean, I'm just
I mean, that's
defender
a
of the
safe
year,
thing to do.
Terzaghi. Terzaghi.
He's like, I don't want to be called out at the end of the season when we review all of our preseason predictions. I'm just going to pick Terzaghi and Richmond.
Look, sometimes you make some bad predictions. It's okay. It
Look,
happens.
We talking about a guy below me. Matter of fact, we talk about this guy that picked Jimmy Oblate to be coach of the year, and this man got fired for wilding on his day off. If you gonna make a bad pick, baby, you just gotta swim with it.
Look, it made sense in preseason. It didn't make sense by midseason.
They made it to the final.
That's true.
A whole other coach
The-
was out
the
here.
talent was
selling
there.
OnlyFans. It was out
There
here
in spirit.
selling his
The
cash.
talent was there on that team. The coach was just getting out of pocket. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
hella vibes. Hella vibes.
it.
Oh man. So now we move on to who we think is going to be the dark horse MVP. So this is a player that I think we all agree that might not get the love and recognition of being the MVP, but we think like, yo, they should be it. So the fans pick for this one, there was a few that kind of split the vote. So Galvanez, Arthur Rogers, Lopovitz, Olex Anderson, which was a surprise to me, and Rafa Mitzigan, which was not a surprise to me. Me personally, I went for Neil Vignos. I think he's going to have an amazing year this year. So that was my pick for the Dark Horse MVP. Brandon, who did you have, sir?
I picked Corey Bennett. I know this is a long shot. This one feels like a long shot, but like 11 goals, I think 4 assists, and you got King Kelly coming in, and you've got Gabriel Oberton coming back. I think he's got and you got Trezor and Mbuyi with you too. I think he's got a big season ahead of him. So I think even if they don't win, he's somebody who deserves a ton of recognition. I think who will.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Definitely see with Charlotte re-signing Dane Kelly there. Kyle, who did you have, sir?
I had Christian Chaney because I legitimately think if he is in the running for Golden Boot, if Madison plays to the level that is kind of expected and he's kind of at the forefront, he could make a late charge for it. It's going to kind of remind me of Aaron Malloy, where it's like, I mean, Aaron Malloy was a finalist and that Madison team did not do as well. So if you can get someone that is in Golden Boot, if he's in Golden Boot contention and Madison does well, he is someone that could potentially be up there, in my opinion.
Okay.
And he wants a Golden Boot. Like he said, like he wants to go for that Golden Boot. And I think, again, if someone breaks 20 goals,
yeah,
it's going to be hard to deny it.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's definitely going to be hard to deny it there. Chip, my man.
Yeah, and just kind of like what Kyle was saying, especially it's one thing if you're on the 12th place team and you're scoring 20 goals, because then it's like, well, someone has to score on that team. It's another thing if you're in playoff contention, home playoff game contention, or championship contention to kind of say, no, you aren't one, which is kind of why I went with Labovitz. I don't know if I really buy into the whole Greenville's getting too old narrative that you're kind of hearing online a bit. I think they're still going to be really good. They've brought in some youth, which I think will really help out in some of the slowness they've had at times just with some of the older players. Labovitz was amazing last year. You kind of forgot about him because he got hurt for a bit. But again, if you're going with, high score on the best team, Labovitz is probably that guy. And I will say, just shout out to Rodgers. I mean, I think Rodgers might be one of the best players in the league. Like guys like him and Doyle, who I guess Doyle would be more the dark horse just because I think he had a perfect 100 on goals above replacement. And he barely made the first team last year. So I guess he'd be one too. But, if you're picking if you want to be real spicy with your pick, I'd say Labovitz, he's going to score a lot of goals. He's going to be on a good team. You're not going to seem that wrong at the end of the year by saying, Labovitz is going to do something, especially if he stays healthy and especially if Greenville, with some of the improvements they've made in their midfield, he could have a really big year this year, bigger than last year, which was a huge year for him as well.
Chip was so jet lagged, he thought he was me.
Yeah, I'm doing homer picks for everybody but Union Omaha today.
Oh, it's going to get any funnier.
I was going to say, I think I'm literally doing a homer pick for everybody on the podcast except for Kyle, which I suppose is on brand for me. So I guess that's
at this point it's on brand.
Yeah. So I guess
if I'm gonna do a homer pick, it's gonna be Dark Horse MVP because that would be great if that would happen.
Yeah. All right. Next we got Coach of the Year. So last year, Coach of the Year was once again my coach, Derek Sawatsky. One Coach of the Year for winning the regular season title. Once again, another trophy that had a little bit of controversy around it because some believe Ian Cameron should have been Coach of the Year. This year, the fans predict that John Bradford from NCFC will be Coach of the Year. So, me personally, I went with Mark McIver for one Knox just because I really like that roster build. And I think this is a team that can compete in USL League One. And if they are in that upper tier, I think you got a good run for it. Chip, what do you say, man? Who do you have as your Coach of the Year?
I have Bradford. I think, again, NCFC's been kind of the butt of some jokes the last 2 years. They've finished their first year by a lot, this last year by not as much. But, I think they're building things the right way. They're building up this youth talent pipeline, which is starting to pay dividends. They have some good guys on the team. They're bringing in some more experienced guys as well. I think a lot of us have them in the playoffs this year at third, fourth. And, I think this is the award that the league's gotten wrong consistently. Mim should not have won it when he won it. It should have been our friend down in Tucson last year. Ian Cameron should have won it. And this year, I think John Bradford should win it if he's going to do what we all think he's going to do, taking a team that's been the whipping horse of the league, like literally the last place team both years, like the worst team, and turns them into a playoff contender. Like, why wouldn't you win? Like, you should win. Is what I should say. You should win if you do that. And I don't think McKeever's a bad pick though. Again, USL 2, first year in the league. If you make the playoffs, if you are hosting, that's a great one. But I think it's dumb that it just kind of goes to the guy who wins first place. Like, that's silly. Like, especially if you're like kind of meeting expectations. When you meet expectations, you shouldn't be the Coach of the Year. That should be kind of expected, not.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brandon, sir, who did you have?
This is my always homer pick. I'm going John Harkes for this one every time.
Next, Kyle, who did you have?
I also
there's nothing to explain there. It's old man Harkes.
Yep.
It's old man Harkes. There's nothing to explain there.
Yeah. I also went with Mark McKeever just because I look at Coach of the Year and I view it as relative to expectations. Like, are you exceeding the expectations that was set for you? So for me, I feel like Knoxville is going to have a pretty good year. I think McKeever is going to do a really good job. That's not to say guys like Harkes or Bradford or, Schwatsky, any of them don't deserve it. I just think relative to expectations, other than Sam Stockley over in Lexington, I feel like everyone is going to either meet or slightly surpass their expectation. While with McKeever and Stockley, it's like, there are no expectations. Like, it's, great if you do well, not going to be end of the world if you do poorly. So I went with McKeever because I think he is going to have the biggest overachievement, which seems harsh to say, but I think he's just going to do that good of a job that'll earn recognition from everyone else.
I think that one's crazy too, just because he's a winner. I mean, like, everywhere he's gone, he's won.
Right.
And so, like, this would be a really big test. And if he can win here, like, I mean, what's not saying that he can't take another step up? You know what I mean?
Well, and Yogi and I were saying that last week. that jump from League 2 up to League 1 is a bigger jump than I think people realize because the season's longer. You're going to have more training, stuff like that. So it's going to be an adjustment. But he seems like someone that can handle that adjustment.
Yeah. All right. Real quick before we move on to the next question, if you're looking for team reviews, like Kyle just mentioned, good plug there, Kyle. Go back to our previous podcast where last week we did team previews for every team in USL League One. Split over 2 podcasts. Just make sure you go check that out there. Guys, this is the newcomer of the year. So this is a person who's brand new in League One. I know a lot of people in here put Devin Boyce. Someone put Jonathan Bolaños. I don't know who, but
MLS.
He doesn't even go here.
He doesn't go to the school. Devin Boyce does not count because he's already played in League One. So the fans' pick was Sebastian Anderson. I don't know who this is. Any of y'all know who this is?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, who is he?
You go,
He's
Brandon.
he played for One Knox last season. He's their striker.
Okay.
He was their leading scorer. So
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, so that's the fans' pick on that one. For me, I had Edward Delgado, the goalkeeper for North Colorado. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm super high on this guy. Kyle told you I kind of cooled in my expectations a little bit on NoCo, but I'm really high on this guy. He come from Phoenix Rising, and I think one of the weaker points of NoCo last year was the goalkeeper position. I think he can improve. He's not going to be keeper of the year or anything like that, but he'll be one of the top 4 goalkeepers in this league by year's end. So,
y'all remember last year when NoCo had 3 penalties in 3 minutes because the goalkeeper kept stepping off the line and he got a red card?
yeah. Yeah. So if he doesn't do that, I think it's a win.
Oh, what a fun time.
I think it's a win. Kyle, who did you have as newcomer of the year, sir?
I had Steven Dos Santos over at Omaha. I think, one of the things that Omaha really needed was going to be a striker. I know they brought back Meza and they had enough from the defense, but it was kind of like, okay, they need to bring in a striker because that was the thing that hurt them a lot last year, especially down the stretch. So getting someone with that pedigree up in USL Championship to get there, and especially someone of his quality, I think that's going to be huge for Omaha and why I have them higher than I did, when we first did our way too early predictions as well. So he's someone that I had as a newcomer just because I feel like he's going to have the biggest impact.
All right. Chip, who do you have?
So I was trying to do our averages real quick. I also have Sebastian Anderson for the same kind of reasons everyone's kind of talked about. He's a hot shot guy, probably could have had some time in USLC, decided to come back to One Knox. I think One Knox is going to be really good. I think he's going to score a lot of goals. If we're talking newcomer of the year, we love goals. We love guys on good teams. There you go.
All right. Keep doing those averages, Chips. I love you for it.
Yeah.
Brandon, Sal, who do you have?
Same thing. I had Sebastian Andreasen for the same reasons Chip said.
All right, there we go. Easy there. So it looked like Sebastian should be low-key in the running for MVP, the way how it sounds like we're talking about him. Next award we got up next is assist leader, and this award makes me a little sad because this player is no longer with us. I really just made Bolaños sound like he just died. Okay. Bolaños moved on to MLS Next Pro. But last year he led the league with 11 assists. Mind you, I think he missed like 8 games. But still led the league with assists. Had 11 last year. So the fans predicted that Luis Perez, who was formerly of SC Tucson, he went to NoCo, right? I mean, not NoCo, NCFC, right?
Yeah, he went to NCFC.
Okay. God damn. NCFC is trying to make like a little mini Real Madrid in USL League One with all these signings. So they predicted that he will be the assist leader this year. Me personally, I went a little bit different. I went with Espinoza, midfielder in Chattanooga. Reason why? He was second in the running last year. Right behind Bolaños. I think he ended on 7 or 8, I want to say. So yeah, he was right behind there in the running for it. So that was my prediction. But Brandon, who did you have, sir? You're probably better at this than I am.
I went with Alan Gavlanius again. as I did last year. I think his numbers over and over again speak to him getting. Well, I'll use a different word. He performs, and he performs enough that he should be getting more assists based off of all of his numbers, but he never quite gets the recognition he deserves or the numbers that he deserves based off of the chances he creates. So I think this year, again, with more attacking talent up front for Greenville and just some more dynamism as they go into the final third, I think Allen will finally start hitting those numbers.
Okay. Kyle, sir, who do you have?
I went with a different player over at Greenville. I went with Devin Boyce. I think someone that is going to – I think the reason why I picked him is I feel like he's going to be the one that's going to drive through the midfield and the opposing team defense and lay the ball up for someone to just tap it in. I feel like he's going to be doing that a lot. I feel like he's just going to be more direct, and his dribbling and ability to kind of break through the lines is going to be key for Greenville. So I went with him.
Okay. Chip, sir, who do you have?
I have just some random dude off of Richmond who was going to spoon feed Terzaghi the ball.
I love it because it's low-key going to happen.
Well, right. I mean, again, finding a narrative in my picks would be Terzaghi, until proven otherwise, is going to win. It's just like Bolaños last year. He just fed Terzaghi the ball, and, Terzaghi's on the end of it and, gets it in. And it's like, yeah, so it's going to be some random dude off Richmond.
That works for me. I like that. Next pick we talk about is Defender of the Year. So this award has been one of the stupider awards in USL League One because I think 3 out of the 4 years this award has been given to a fullback who damn near plays winger. No, I think all 4 years it went to a fullback, hasn't it?
No. Year one was
who was it? Oh, Fricky. Right?
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, so Fricky's the only real defensive player to win this award.
Yeah.
That's a goddamn shame. Last year's winner was Arthur Rogers. So, and the reason why he won it, get this, he had 80 chances and 9 assists. Nothing about defense in that whatsoever. So, guys, the fans picked Jake Dillinger.
Dangler. Butcher that.
I did. God.
Wow.
Just want to, I'm back in mid-season form, baby. Back to butchering names and messing up. He is the fans pick for Defender of the Year. Me personally, I went with my buddy up in One Knox. I went with Jalen Chrysler. I think he should have won it last year. I made a really strong case and argument for it. He didn't win it. I think he wins it this year at One Knox. Chip, are you still doing averages over there?
I'm almost done. I'm putting the list together. But
Okay,
I went pretty, Arthur Rogers, again, why are you still here? Why do you play in League One still, especially for NOCO? Like,
yeah,
that's clearing. Like, do they just have you in some crazy contract that you can't get out of? Like, why are you still here? Like, go somewhere else. Like, stop harassing.
That's where the stadium money went to, Brandon. It went to go play Rogers.
Yep. That's why it's taking so long.
Maybe if they had sold Rogers, they could build the stadium quicker. I don't know, but why are you still here? Go away.
It's the chicken or the egg. Something got to come first. Brandon, who did you have, sir?
I mean, if we're gonna go by the league, I picked Arthur Rogers, and I do have a bit of a hot take. Davey Mason, the guy that Tormenta signed, he basically played as a left winger during all their friendlies, and he looked really, really talented. So if he gets playing time, he could easily be Defender of the Year too, based off of what I saw.
Okay. All right. Kyle. Oh, Kyle, did I already ask you? No, I didn't.
No, but I also had Arthur Rogers because this league will reward defenders that contribute a lot to the attack.
So pretty much any defender that scores.
Pretty much if your team has a fullback that can get forward and create some chances of goals, they're going to win.
Yep.
Yeah. Seems like it. All right. So this award has been probably the most hotly contested award in USL League One. Is the goalkeeper of the year, guys. And to be honest with you, the fans, me, Brandon, and Chip all went Rashid Nuhu because he won it last year. Kyle, you went a little bit different. Explain this one, sir.
I picked someone that is going to have to do a lot of work. And
he's a busy guy.
They're going to need to do their performances, even though the team probably won't be as successful. It's because of them that it's not going to get them to the level of OCB and NCFC 2021. I went with Ofek Ant-Man. He was really good last year. Like, I think that's something that because Fuego was such a whatever team, he did really well. And I think he's going to have to stand on his goddamn head this year. So it's going to be he has a shitload of saves, and that's going to be really hard to ignore.
Yeah, I agree.
I almost went with Nuhu, and actually I did put in Nuhu at first, and I was like, actually, no, I'm going to go with Ant-Man because that guy's going to be doing yeoman's work. It's going to be like the dude over in Charlotte.
Well, that's the crazy thing about Charlotte. Like, they don't have him this year.
Yeah.
No, I think he went to Miami FC, Zendejas, right?
Yeah.
I think he went to Miami FC.
He went back. Yeah, he went back to his parent club.
This is crazy.
It's going to be interesting, y'all. It's going to be interesting to see. I think another good shout out there is probably Akira. I think that's another good shout out as well. The fun part of the show is we have the Vibes Team of the Year. So this is the team that is going to be real fun to watch. What?
Thanks for joining us, Peter North.
Thanks, Peter.
Anyways.
Wow. That's
all right.
All right. That's a wow.
Who the fuck gave Jimmy Weekly's login?
Wow.
Garbage yard. Jeez.
Woo. Okay, back to the show.
Matt
is totally right here. TJ Bush and Rachel Israel. You're right. He did push y'all. I ain't gonna lie. That's one of the more surprising signings. And when we talk about next week, we preview the games. But what made wow. All right.
Jesus, Joe, you work for a team.
Keep moving. Everybody keep moving. Nothing to see here.
Well, that's the crazy thing too, as we talk about Pablo Yara. Was that you, Yogi? That was like it's time for him to like make the jump. He's gonna be there with with the Nuhus and the Akiras of the league, and then he just got you didn't even get Wally Pipp because he didn't even like skip a game because he's hurt. He just got the old vaudeville. Kane just got yanked off stage.
This is why we can't do the show under an hour.
Oh, that does not help the situation.
All right. So,
all right. I'm sorry. All right. Back to it. The Vibes Team of the Year. All right. So this is a team that is going to be super fun to watch. 3 out of us, the fans, me and Brandon, we picked NoCo. Chip and Kyle went NCFC. Brandon, what is your reason for picking NoCo, sir?
I mean, it's just fluid play. Like their fullbacks are going to get forward. It's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be fun to watch, even if they're getting scored on and things like that. It's just going to be a fun team to watch. We've got a lot of really talented players. We can't cut this out. It's live. So I think that NoCo is just going to be that team that's going to bring the vibes, even if they don't do as well as everyone else. They're a lot of fun to watch. So
yeah. I mean, my reason was I think Power was going to take that next step. This team really reminds me of how Richmond was set up 2021, where it was like a one-man show with Terzaghi. That'd be great. You got Arthur Rogers there, but it's really like, and by the way, real quick, before we go forward, all of us just want to give our best wishes to Para. Give our best wishes out to him. For those who haven't seen the news, he had a diagnosis that came about during the offseason this year. I don't want to put that out there for him. I want him to kind of share that story and share what has happened. But personally, We just wish him all the best and hope that he has a speedy recovery coming back to the team. So,
For sure.
But Chip, Kyle, NCFC?
You first,
Yeah.
Kyle?
All right.
I think NCFC added a lot of good players. And I think you add Louis Perez, you add Mikey Maldonado, you bring back McLaughlin and Olex and Shaq Adams. Like, you have a pretty good attacking core of this team. And I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. I think they're going to be improved. I think they're going to be a team that is going to be easy to watch because the style of play, and that's not including, like Nelson and the freaking like 17-year-old that they have. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but like they're going to be a very entertaining team to watch because they have very entertaining young attacking players.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's a lot of the stuff is like kind of the same reason why so many fans have liked Tormenta recently over the years, because they're just a team that did things the right way. They're in a small city. They build guys up through their academy system and their USL2 team. So when they won, like I don't think really anybody besides the Red Bulls fans had much to complain about, because it's like, well, they're doing things the right way. NCFC is kind of the same. They've been a little slower in doing it than Tormenta has. And they've, like we've talked about earlier, they've been not great since they joined the league. And a lot of that's with the youth. I know I've made a lot of jokes about them being the juice box gang and, their moms dropping them off to games and, them not being able to play weekday games because they have, algebra class next morning, but them coming around, and it seems like this is the year they take the quarter. Like Kyle said, they have a lot of fun players. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think it's going to surprise a lot of people who maybe didn't pay attention this offseason when their team gets ran off the field by NCFC and they're like, what the heck happened? And it's like, well, it's just like Tormenta last year. They were a good team. We were telling people they're a good team, and they really surprised people, blew people away, and played some really great soccer. And it's going to be a real cool story if they can live up to the expectations that we are about to put on them.
All right. So, I mean, can't go wrong with that. I think it's going to be fun. I'm trying to compose myself and get back together. Wow.
Yeah, that transition when you're trying to give best wishes to Aro as that was happening was really difficult to keep a straight face.
It was. All right. So outside of vibes, we have the chaos team. So this is a team that's going to be all over the place. Things are going to be super duper bad. Not super duper bad, but it's going to be all over the place. I think we have 3 consistent picks. The fans picked Lexington FC. Brandon, you also went Lexington FC.
I did.
Me and Chip went Fuego. Kyle went Chattanooga. So, I'm sorry. Okay. Brandon, Lexington, why are they the chaos team of USL League One?
Well, there's so many players on their team that are completely unknown. You know what I mean? There's so many unknowns to this team. Most of them have spent time in NISA or at the college level. And, I mean, you've got only a few that have League One experience. I think they have the opportunity to cause a ton of chaos for the league just because we don't know what's going to happen. They could end up in 12th place. They could end up in 4th place. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know the ceiling of these players. A lot of them are talented, but we haven't seen them play on a consistent level. So that's kind of where I see Lexington being that chaos team where they're going to probably shake things up and just randomly cause a lot of trouble for teams. But it'll be really interesting to see where they actually end up.
So your pick is not so more where they're going to be in the standing. It's more so of like how tactics-wise they can cause a lot of chaos. That's not going to be the playoffs, but they like the team that's 6th, 5th place. If they play Lexington last month, they can knock them out.
I definitely think it's more just tactics and also just not knowing the ceiling of their players. It's just they're so unknown compared to a lot of the other teams where we kind of like have an idea of what's going on. With Lexington, it's like one, they're really secretive about their playing style. They seem to score a lot of goals, but like it just seems like they've got a bunch of really talented players that we don't know how they're going to perform against all the other players in the league. So I'm really excited to see how it actually turns out for them.
All right. Chip, I'll let you go first, sir. Fuego, why do you have them as your chaos team?
I mean, I think it's going to be a shit show over there this year. That's why. I mean, I don't know. I guess let me be a little bit more charitable. They had a lot of off the field stuff last year that a lot of us didn't know about because there's not a lot of Fuego people. We kind of found that out about the end of the year where there were some fan protests that there's all these crazy beer things, all these crazy parking things. They're not playing in the same they played in last year. They're playing in like 1,000-seat stadium this year, which it could be really cool. They theoretically should sell it out because they averaged over that last year. And again, like they have some weird signings. Like it's like when we'll get to this in a bit, but it's like I don't know. Like I don't know what to make heads or tails out of them, but yeah, and they lost like all their good players. Like I just think it's going to be one of those like who knows what the hell is going to happen there, and then watch them mysteriously put it together for like a 5-game stretch and just like absolutely ruin somebody's playoff hopes.
Yeah, I mean I'm kind of agreeing with you, Chip. Like I listened to El Fuego pod today.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of seemed like it's kind of like the same things that have been plaguing them last year. It's plaguing them this year. Like the parking, the stadium issue, concessions, the somewhat inconsistent communication for the front office. Fuego's also lost a lot of key players. Victor Flock has like Hornsby's in Richmond, Cheney's in Fort Madison, and for like those three outside of Ant-Man were the key parts of Fuego. So it's kind of like, all right, who are you replacing to bring in to elevate you to that next level? And your team kind of faltered. I mean, you had that hot stretch during the summer, but the start of the year, I mean, I'll take that back. Not the start, the kind of end of the year, you kind of faltered and fell out. So that's why I have Fuego for. I think they're maybe one of the weaker rosters in USL League One. I will give them this, though. I think they will be one of the better home performing teams just because of that trip out there to Fuego. I think that can help them out. But outside of that, I'm never high on this team. I don't like the style of football that they play. Yeah. Chip, Kyle, your pick, sir.
I went with the most obvious. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do because they might get a red card every match. I went Chattanooga. I mean, and especially with a new coach and they lost all their players, like I have no idea how long it's going to take that team to gel. Like it would not surprise me if they went on a hot streak later on in the season because they finally get everything up to speed. But you bring in a coach late and you lose a lot of your key players, especially in the attack. I mean, they still have good players, but I just don't know what we're going to expect out of Chattanooga, especially early on in the season.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially with how tight the league was all last year, if you all of a sudden get a hot hand late on, you could all of a sudden find yourself in the playoffs, and even as a 6th seed, you could win.
Yeah, very much so. So now we get into where we think each team is going to rate in the end of the year. So this isn't the power rankings that Nelco fans were so upset of us about, and I think I pissed off the good God Ivan Parra because he called us clowns. I think we love
he was not happy with us.
He was not.
I mean, it's fair to say I had like 2 guys signed.
They had 4 players.
Yeah,
so he was like one of them.
Yeah, it's like what?
Also, this is the way too early. Like it's called way too early for a reason. Chill, everyone.
Yeah, Omaha fans are not happy.
Omaha fans were not happy. I think the only fans that were actually happy was Knoxville and Tormenta.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah.
I think so. I think
they were the only ones that were happy. Everyone was like, "What the fuck? Why would you have this team this high?"
Right. I'm like, it's way too early, and you have 3 guys signed. I don't know what to make of you. I don't know what to make of your roster.
Yeah, you barely have a pickleball team, so just pipe down.
Like, I'm sorry, Charlotte. You had no defenders. You still have no defenders. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right. Even Charlotte Independence, the main account was shading us. I'm like, you have 4 guys. Why would I put you first? What?
Who is defending?
Jesus is friends.
Who's playing? Like, you're going to have to forfeit. Forget defending. Who's playing the game?
Right.
That might be better for their scoreline anyway to just forfeit every game.
3-0 every single game.
That might be better for them.
All right. So we start off with Richmond. I'm just going to read it off and then we talk about the averages. So pretty much everyone had them in the top 4 outside of Brandon. Brandon had them 4th. I had them 3rd. Kyle had 2nd. Chip had them 2nd. The fans picked them to be 3rd. So that overall average to be 2.8. Guys, does that feel on track for Richmond real quick? Like how we feel about them so far?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we move on to Greenville Triumph. Myself, Brandon, and Chip had them as number 1 overall seed. I feel like I'm talking about NCAA March Madness with this going on, but we are rating them to be the number 1 seed going into the USL League One playoffs. Except for Kyle and the fans that both agreed to have them 4th. And the average rating of them is 2.2. So how do you guys feel about them? Look on track. Kyle, you had them at 4th, so explain that to me, my friend.
I think the biggest reason was there's the concerns about striker depth and goalie. Mm-hmm. I think there's still concerns that I have around that. If Labovitz isn't firing or gets hurt, I don't know who steps up and scores the goals for them. You're asking a lot out of the midfielders and to contribute. And also, I don't know who's starting a goalie. Like you had Dallas J, who was really, really good. You had Paul Christensen last year, who had stretches where he was really, really good. I don't know who's going to start. And that's why I was hesitant to put him at the top spot. I still think based on the moves that they make, and it's still Greenville, it's still John Harkes, they're going to be somewhere in a home playoff game area. I just figured with the teams I had ahead of them, I felt more confident in because their holes are not as glaring.
Yeah, and 1 through 3 were all very, 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 very close in the picks. So
yeah.
And I think again too, it's that narrative of is Greenville old, is Greenville washed? And again, I think Ryan making the Devin voice joke, ha ha ha, funny. But I think that's a great point. Is they have brought in some players to kind of give them a little bit more of a spark in the midfield. They have maybe one of the best strikers in the league, and they're a John Harkes team. I think they've figured some stuff out with more of the counterattacking last year, and it's hard to bet against the pedigree that they have in League One. If you're picking the most successful team since the league started, I mean, hard to say it's not Greenville. You could make an argument, but Greenville's probably the most successful team so far in this league.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have Union Omaha. All right, so this is how it went. The fans picked them to finish 2nd overall. Chip had them at 6. Kyle had them at 6. Brandy, you had them at 5th. I had them at 7th.
Where'd the fans have them, Yogi? Where'd the fans have Union Omaha?
They had them 2nd.
Okay, but I'm just gonna say, in our chat, I saw the results and I said, tell me that Omaha fans were not heavily swaying this poll without telling me.
Oh,
this is exactly why.
Oh, yeah.
There's another fan base that heavily had an influence on this, and we'll talk about them later.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Well,
so look, I'll explain it. I had them 7 just because my main reason is Jay Mills isn't there anymore. And I don't know how this team is going to play. And Jay Mills I think there's an art style to using your environment in part of your tactics. And Jay Mills was probably one of the best coaches in USL at doing that. With that narrow baseball pitch, he used it to his advantages greatly. And it transitioned so well that even when they went on the road, it still worked. I don't know what I'm getting out of this coach. And also, he came late. I just don't know what I'm getting,
And it really seems like they're switching formations based off the signings they've made. And it's gonna be really interesting to see how they do.
Like they could be that 6th seed, but I just see them just slightly falling out.
Yeah, and I think again, my comment with Omaha and having them so low is they could be a lot higher. I certainly hope they're higher than a 6th seed. I hope they win the league. Like that's the first thing I'll say is I hope they win the league. But I would also say if you want us to blow sunshine up your ass, Union Omaha fans, this isn't the right podcast. There's other podcasts for that. But with Omaha, you have a bunch of question marks. Like you said, the biggest one is Jay. But then you look at the second question mark, and that's the whole defense, which is what made them so good. There's only one returning starter from when that was running that the best, and that's Nuhu. You lost Ryan Jiba to the draft, and he's in Minnesota now. Who knows what Dalton Knutson's doing? It looks like Alice Touche retired. Bawa's just gone completely missing. And we've signed a bunch of guys, and a lot of them look really good. But again, that's a cohesion. That's a unit where you need a lot of cohesion. You need a lot of experience. You need guys that play together. And could they be really good? Yeah, like 100% they could be good. You know, you look at some of the signings, like Mueller brought in for the left wing. Like he's great. Like he was really, really good at Tormenta. There's a reason he went up to championship, but there's also a reason he's back. And along with the fact that brand new coach, we don't know how he's going to play, everything else. And then of course with Omaha too, it's the attack. Like you brought back a lot of guys in the midfield and the attack last year, but Omaha had one of the worst attacks. And yeah, Santos looks like he's pretty good. He had a lot of success at the Rowdies, but will that translate to USL 1? We've seen so many guys come down from USLC, and you think they're going to be better because they were in championship, and then they just are worse than guys fresh out of college. And I think that's, you know, part of what makes this league so crazy is it's guys could literally come out of nowhere and get really good. Guys literally make a giant jump in year 2 and are awesome. Guys fall off in year 2, and it'll just be interesting to see what happens. And again, like I think with Omaha, it's more of a question of there's teams with a lot easier path forward than Omaha, and Omaha just has a lot of question marks until some of those questions get answered. It's kind of hard to justify ranking them higher up.
Chip, you just poured out your whole heart there, sir.
Well, I know I'm going to do this. Luckily, like everybody's at the season ticket holder event, but I know as soon as this comes out, I'm just going to get my fucking ass dragged, which is fine. I stand by. I think I explain my thoughts very well. If you think they're higher, that's great. That's fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. If you think they're lower, you know, that's great. That's fine. But I don't know. There's a lot of question marks, and until we get some answers in the upcoming games, and especially I think the El Paso game is going to be a real show of what's going on. The Knoxville game on April 1st is going to be a real show of what's going on, because I think a lot of us have them ranked pretty high. Until we get some of those answers, I think Omaha is going to be in a position they're not used to and have to, you know, prove to everyone that they are the Omaha teams we've had the past 3 years, and they're not, you know, something else. But you know, hopefully they're up to it. I would love to see Omaha win another championship. Like that goes without saying. Like, so don't say I don't like Omaha. I want them to win, but you know, again, I'm not going to blow sunshine up your ass just because we root for the same team.
Right.
The good news is that if they lose to One Knox on the 1st, you can just chalk it up to April Fool's Day and just pretend like nothing's wrong.
They're resting for the Open Cup against El Paso.
It's just a joke, yeah.
And I think that's something that we should mention is Union Omaha is undefeated in the preseason. So things are trending up. They're scoring a lot more goals than they did last year. And so there are a lot of things I think that are trending in that direction for Omaha positively. And it's a matter of translating the preseason into what goes on during the season, which, you know, again, the preseason means a lot if you're winning all your games, and it doesn't mean a lot if you lose all your games, but ultimately there's no trophy for winning preseason. There's only a trophy for winning the playoffs. Unfortunately, because there should be a regular season trophy as well, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
Right. All right. So let's go and let's get it. All right. So next is Forward Madison. The fans had them ranked 7th. Chip, you had them ranked 7th. Kyle, you had them 3rd. Brandon, you had them 9th. I had them 4th. So the average is a 6. And the placements are kind of either you're really high on Madison or you're really low on Madison. Why do you, real quick, guys, why do you think we have that disparity between some of the picks?
You mean besides the fact that it was majority Omaha and North Carolina fans doing the fan poll, so that's why they intentionally had Madison lower than they probably would? You can't tell me that's not a factor with the fans.
Yeah, that's probably
100% with the Omaha fans. I mean, I bet I had them a lot higher than most of the Omaha fans voting for them in the fan poll. I mean, that's an improvement. 7th place is an improvement. I think, again, you know, there's a lot of potential when you have a new coach, but after you get 2nd, 3rd year, especially when it's kind of the same guys, and I don't know, I think they made some good signings, but I don't know if they're necessarily the signings that are going to get them over the hump they've had the last couple of years, because I think there's the top 3 look pretty rock solid, and in the top 3, we don't have a certain team that we'll talk about here in a second. And, you know, there's teams that we have making a big jump. And unfortunately, I just think they're going to be on the wrong end of the playoff cut. But at the same time, it's probably going to be again like this year, where even 9th place is probably playing for the playoffs on the last game. So it's going to be a tight league, and I think that's a sign of the maturity we have in the league now, the quality across league and players and coaches, that it's going to be tight. And I think that's a lot more exciting than the results we had for the first couple of years, where it was kind of like, yeah, we all know who's going to be good. Everyone picked Omaha to win in 2021. Everyone picked Greenville to win in 2020. It's like, last year was, crazy. And I think that's good. It makes for an exciting product for the fans. It makes for an exciting product for us to talk about. It makes for an exciting product to sell to investors and fans of the league. But yeah, I think 7th isn't necessarily bad. I just don't think that they'll get over the humps with the cards that they've added to the deck in the offseason.
All right.
Let me explain why. One is bias. That's why I have Madison so high. 2, Chip mentioned it, having a coach there for a second year. And I think they had a plan, and they went with that plan and made sure, okay, here's the players that we want to bring in. We want to bring in guys that have experience in USL League One. That's where you see bringing in Krull, bringing in Mail, bringing in Cheney. It's bringing in Stephen Payne. Like, they got guys that have the experience in the league, and that's going to, especially in that back line. Then it's, okay, let's keep the guys that were pretty good for us last year in Osmond, Wheeler, Omeniu, Derek Gebhardt, and Nazim Bartman. I think there's a reason why they only kept 4 players, and they would have kept Eric Leonard, but then he got the deal to Chicago Fire too, and can't pass up on that. I also think they are going with a smaller squad, so that should create more continuity, and it should create. You're not gonna, even if they rotate, most of these guys are gonna be able to play with each other. So I think there is going to be a little bit more cohesion with this team, which is, I feel like when we saw Madison play really well in May and June, it seemed like that team was a lot more cohesive. And then as opposed to the end of the year where things kind of fell apart, and even the beginning of the year when things were disjointed. So I think having Glazer back for another year, he has the guys that he wants. He has a plan. He knows what he wants to do, and brought in the personnel. And when you bring in someone like Christian Cheney, I truly think he is going to be that big impact for Madison, where if he's not scoring goals, he's at least going to draw in enough defenders that someone else can hopefully contribute. So I also have Madison pretty high. I think they've underachieved the last 2 years, and I think it's time for them, and especially set pieces. They can't be worse at set pieces, right? Like, they got to do better.
Not possible. You set a record last year.
Right. Like, they can't be worse at set pieces. And when you bring in dudes like Mel and Krull and Osmond, and then you have Brotherton on the bench, who are all fucking tall, plus Ciceros and Cheney, who are good aerially, there's going to be some overcorrection. So I'm also going to claim bias, but I feel very confident that it should be an improved Madison team.
I'll just say this. For me, they're a top 3 defense in the league.
All right. Fair enough. I love the conversation, but we got to keep it pushing. So Chip can get to his beloved Creighton.
Jays.
Next we have NCFC. I had him at 5th. Brandon, you had him 2nd. Cal 7. Chip 3. The fans have them number 1. Once again, another team like Ford Madison. It's a little discrepancy there. My fault. The overall average for them is 3.6. So top 3. Guys.
I didn't know NCFC had that many fans. Like, you certainly wouldn't know it looking at their stadium the last couple of years.
Yeah. Guys,
very quick. Online, I guess.
I guess just never online, but don't participate.
No. We're talking about a team that last 2 years won the Wooden Spoon. Why are people so high on them, real quick? Why are people so high on them?
They brought in really talented players, like half the Chattanooga's team, and Mikey Maldonado and Louis Paris. Like, they brought in good players.
And the thing is, like, the last few years, like last year they looked good to start the season, and then everything fell apart. They didn't have any leadership. And honestly, people like, their captain is a guy who played 1 total season in the league. He was 25 years old and played 1 season in the league before, and was actually in League 2 the year before he joined North Carolina. So, like, they had no leadership. No offense. They just didn't have people who had a solid mindset. And you're bringing in people who have been into the playoffs, like Navarro, like Minsikin, people who play in the final, And suddenly you have all this leadership around an already really good attack with people like Shaq Adams and Alex Anderson and Garrett McLaughlin who've proved they can score and score and score, and Perez who's proved he can get the ball in positions to help people score. So like all of that combined with the fact that they're still a really talented young squad, like it's hard to bet against them, you know?
And not to mention they have something that most of the teams don't, and that's a certified stud up top that can find the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, so me and Ebony got into it on last week's show. Kyle, you was part of it. I asked a question. If things don't click right away, is Bradford on the hot seat to start the year off? Real quick, yes or no? Chip, is
No.
Bradford on the hot seat if things don't go right? Kyle? Brandon?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Honestly, there is only one coach I think could get sacked mid-season if things don't go well.
Who is that?
Fuegos.
Yes.
That's the only one I feel like if things go poorly, they're not making it to the end of the year. I could see a lot of teams having coaches not be brought back the following year if things don't go well. Like I could see if NCFC doesn't do well, Bradford doesn't come back. I can see Madison if Matt Glazer doesn't come back. Like I can see coaches like maybe not get to it maybe after the season ends, but during the season, no, only Fuego.
Okay. All right. All right. Next up we have is Charlotte. I did not put them in Charlotte FC as I mistakenly have done in years past. Consistently across the board, guys, 9, 8. Even the fans agree, 8. You know, some of the conversations we've had online and hearing from Charlotte fans is we have enough experience. We were one of the best attacks. You know, we got all these veteran leadership coming back. My drawback with Charlotte is sometime Father Time comes knocking on that door. And if he comes knocking on that door for 2 of your players, it's not going to look good.
Yeah.
It's not going to look good. And you already had defensive issues last year. How do you guys feel, real quick, about Charlotte and their build this year?
They are going 13-14 Liverpool, where they're going to try and outscore you every single game. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get away with winning games 4-3 every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they're 8th, not necessarily on the strength of their own team, but more on the weaknesses of the team below them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's for me, like those last 4 picks, they were so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the last, like the entire out of the playoff section was so hard. Because, I mean, you got like, for me, I had NoCo and Lexington and the Red Wolves and Charlotte and Forward Madison. Any of those teams, I feel like, could jump into any of those positions just because of how crazy this freaking league is.
I had Omaha and North Carolina, like, you could flip-flop them between the 6 seed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, it's for this team in particular, too, it's like those teams out of the playoff places, they just have distinct weaknesses that they showed last year that said, okay, I don't know if this team could hang full on as a playoff contender. Like literally, Zendejas stood on his head. Talk about goalkeepers sitting on their head. The main reason that Charlotte were in the playoffs last year is because Zendejas continuously stood on his head. They conceded over like almost half their. I'm pretty sure it was like almost half their goals in that 7-game stretch where he wasn't there. It's like, so that man stood on his head and made it happen for Charlotte. And so that's a big enough question mark on its own.
If there's a definition of mid-table, that would be Charlotte.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really just feels like teams 1 through 5 are in one bracket, teams 6 through 9 are in one bracket, and then 10, 11, 12 are like their own kind of thing. It really feels like that so far.
Yeah.
All right. Next behind them, we have Fuego, who across the board, everyone that has them winning a trophy this year, which is the wooden spoon. Which is
not
the we don't need to go long with them. I think it merely just comes down to, I think ownership has done a bad job with this team. Like I think this Fuego team could have really been a kind of gateway to lower soccer in California. Like there's so much talent out there, and it just feels as if it's just been underutilized. Once again, I don't like their tactics. it just could be a much better build. I think next year things might improve, hopefully. But I mean, for the El Fuego pod, I can't remember the supporters group name right now, but I hope them all the best, and I hope they don't have to drink too many overpriced beers to enjoy this dumpster fire that they're about to see.
Well, the thing that's really frustrating is it's like they've signed some really big impact, a really big impact player in JCG and Jose Correa Garcia. If you look at their roster on their website, like if you go today to their website on the league page, they don't have a single player on the roster. We know they've signed a few people, but it's like that's a basic thing. You know what I mean? We're 2 weeks before the season starts, and the roster, and it just, especially for a player who they're probably paying a ton for, and Jose Correa Garcia, like not even to have him included on the list, it's just wild to me. And they've done some cool stuff, like they're playing Pachuca, which is cool, and probably will do a lot for the city and probably bring in a lot of money. But it's like, it's the little things that seems like just can't be gotten right for some reason.
Yeah, very much so there. All right, so we move on from the Wooden Spoon winners to the team that won USL League One last year in the playoffs. It's Tormenta. So interesting things here we have. I have them second. Kyle, you have them number 1 overall. The fans have them number 1 overall. Chip has them 4th. But the most interesting is Brandon has them number 6. Brandon, explain this to me, man.
I'm just trying to give Bolt more content. He just needs
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Brandon's looking for attention.
Listen to Bolt. You can send all angry emails to Brandon at walking90.com.
There it is. No, I feel like last year, I mean, when you get down to it, they were barely a playoff team. And that's not a knock on them. They grinded it out and made it happen at the end of the year. And they set up in a way in the playoffs that helped win the league. And I think that's awesome. I think they've pretty much kept the same players. And they lost a few really important players and brought, a few more in. I just feel like, again, I think they could totally make the playoffs. I think they could totally win the league again. But I don't think it's going to be because they're in first place. And that's not because they're a bad team. I think it's just because how chaotic this league is. If anything, they get into the upper levels of the league because of the play of their forwards and just random really good defensive performances. I don't think they're bad at all. It's just one of those, again, where there's so many good teams in that top 6 range. And I just think easily they could end up being one of those teams that jumps into the playoffs and wins it that way. I don't know that they'll come in first.
All right.
I just go with if you win the title and you bring back a key core and the coach that were the reasons for you winning the title, I have you first until proven otherwise.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. We move on to the team that's in the Bluegrass State. This is Lexington FC. I think Tyler is perking up to hear how we got his team ranked. I think he's not going to be too excited with the picks because consistently across the board, they're ranked really low, guys. I got them 11th. Brandon, Kyle, Chip, you got them in 10th. The fans picked them to be 11th. I think we can all agree it's not so much what they're doing off the field. It's more so just the talent pool they have on the field. I talked about it last week, and I did my preview with them. When you look at this, they brought in, granted, there is some veteran leadership there. And I think, I can't remember who, but someone alluded to earlier of like, you brought in this veteran leadership to try to, you had this young core, you brought in veteran leadership to kind of boost them to the next level. I think this is a good way how to settle in USL League One. I think Lexington focuses about bringing the youth in and developing it and making sure, they're just not a flash in the pan, but they can develop for the years to come. My concern with it is I don't think they have enough. And I don't think they have enough talent. Now, granted, they'll win some games and they'll knock off somebody in that top 1, 2, 3, 4 range. I don't think they have enough talent week in, week out to consistently compete in USL League One to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of it too is it's just like kind of with our commentary on Omaha is it's just a lot of question marks. It is a lot of question marks in their team. They've got a lot of college guys in. They've brought in some older guys. They brought in some NISA players, some guys from NISA Nation, and they brought in some older guys. You know, Don Smart's going to play there next year, and
Guys, is Don Smart Dracula?
maybe.
Yes. That dude played almost every 90 last year, and like even like he played overtime, you know, in Charlotte, and just crazy. That dude never stops.
I'm trying to think. Outside of Akira, is he the only person left from the original year?
I mean,
Mr. Cardio King. What are you talking about?
Keegan.
yeah, Keegan.
He's still there.
Right,
So
Keegan is there. Oh, there is.
Yeah,
right.
Fricky's still there.
Yeah, Fricky.
But Keegan wasn't there in 2019, was he? I thought that was 2020 when he started.
Who?
Keegan. Am I wrong?
No, Keegan
He was part of your 2019 team.
Was
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Damn, you're a fan of the team. Don't
No, I thought it was 2020 for some reason.
Because he was like the leading goal scorer until like the end of the year.
Yeah,
then
you're
Carlos
right.
Gomez took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's Keegan, Smart, Akira, and Fricky.
and Luke Pavone.
Yep.
Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Oh,
again,
Yara. Pablo.
Yeah, literally most of Greenville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly Greenville.
Yeah.
Luke,
Greenville.
Akira, Don Smart. It's not many.
No.
I think maybe like 10 tops.
Yeah. But, you know, again, it's just for them, it's a lot of question marks on what are they going to do. And I think the teams kind of up in the top 6, 7 are a little bit more known quantities. And the rest, it's just kind of like, you know, just a lot of question marks for Lexington. And they could easily, you know, again, just like anybody else, like college guys have a long history of finding success in this league. For all we know, they're going to run away with the league this year. Just, it's really hard to pick them much higher right now, just with the strength and the establishment of other players and teams. So if you're a Lexington fan, you know, don't just think your season's done. There's a very high chance you could be in the playoffs. So like
The biggest thing for me is when you're relying on a team full of young players who for a lot of them, this is their first professional season. You're going to get a lot of high variance, just like what we saw with the MLS 2 teams. Some weeks and some stretches, they're going to look great and they're going to have it together. All the things are going to break. At other times, that youth and inexperience is really going to show. And I think that's what we're going to see out of Lexington. It's just, if you're heavily relying on youth, it's going to create a little bit more inconsistencies.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. All right. So next is the team from good old Rocky Top. It's One Knox, and consistently across the board. I thought everyone would have them higher. They're right at 6th, 5th place. I had them 6th. Brandon had them 5th. Kyle, you had them 5th. Chip, you had them 6th. The fans had them at 6th. Any thoughts on them real quick, or should we just go on to the next team?
don't make
They
me
built the
regret.
roster.
Yeah. Don't make me regret picking you in the playoffs like I did NoCo last year.
Okay, you had NoCo like top 3 or something. Like that was
Yeah, I think I had Fuego in the playoffs too.
No. Chip had NoCo leading in like an attendance something.
No, he had
Fuego.
It was Fuego. That's what it was.
That was a smart, but yeah, we don't need to talk about that. I had some good reasoning for it, but it ended
Honestly, that
up
felt like a layup though at the beginning of the year.
yeah.
With the
NoCo
USL game, it really did feel like it.
It felt like a layup. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like they brought in all this talent, and it's like, man, they are going to like kick some butt and take some names, and then they
did
And
it.
I think a lot of that, like we've talked about, you could probably blame on the stadium situation. They didn't know where they're going to play every game. You know, you don't get any sort of cadence. The fans never showed up because they didn't know where they were playing, and so I just think a lot of that hurt them a lot.
You piss off your fans enough, they're not going to show up.
Right. And so I think it's just kind of one of those.
All right, but back to One Knox.
Yeah.
They built a good team. I think they built a team that should make the playoffs. Simple.
Super solid. We don't know anything about them.
All right. Makes it very simple. Okay. After that, we have the team that One Knox apparently doesn't even know that's in the same state with them because they hate the blue side even more. It's Chattanooga Red Wolves. And whoo, Boy, I had them 10th. Make sure I got this all right. Brandon, you had them 11th. Kyle, you had them 8th. Chip, you had them 11th. The fans had them 9th, which averages out to 9.8. So, guys, when it comes to Chattanooga, from being the USL League One runner-up to all the way at the bottom of the table, I know they lost a lot of players, but no faith in the new head coach from Albion San Diego?
It's too late. He came in really late. That's just a really hard hurdle.
And Albion wasn't even that good last year. Anyways.
Brandon, anything on your end?
Just so many unknowns. You never know. They've got a decent defense, but they lost so many attacking options. Though.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you guys saw it, but recently there's been talks about Chattanooga adding another 1,000 seats to their stadium, and
the memes have been great.
If there is a team that probably doesn't need to expand and add more seats, that is definitely one of them.
So, in fairness, talking to Adam Bruce, who's on Chat Talk, a lot of it's the infrastructure that they don't have right now. So it's going to be bathrooms and concessions. So they're still using Porta. I think and don't burn me if I'm wrong on this, Chattanooga fans. Like half of you have me blocked already, so you can't do that. But my understanding is only the suites have bathrooms right now, and everybody else use porta potties.
Mm-hmm.
So this is them adding a place to put permanent bathrooms and concessions. And then
Maybe
they're
they
just
should have done that
if you make
at the beginning.
Why don't you add that? Whatever.
They
That's
didn't
because-
have lights when they opened the stadium. Do you
I'm
think
just
they were going
saying,
to have bathrooms? Which I just don't know how that's even up to code, but it's Chattanooga, so who knows what's going on there.
I just don't understand how you go into the stadium and think, oh yeah, let's not have bathrooms.
Yeah, and I think it's locker rooms and facilities too, because I know, well, I don't know what the situation is now, but like the players on Union Omaha in 2020 who didn't have a lot of nice things to say about Chattanooga for a lot of reasons. They were like, we changed in a shipping container and we hated it so much we just went and changed on the bus instead. So
and next,
building facilities.
Next is a team that literally plays their first 8 games on the road. Is NoCo.
It's gonna be May.
This is the team that Kyle talked me off a ledge with because I had them 4th in my first rankings. But I kind of downplayed it a little bit more. I got them 8th. Brandon, you have them 7th. Kyle, you have them 11th. Chip 9. The fans have them at 10. So, guys, is this not? We don't think NoCo can get over the hump? Do we think the obstacles they have to come up with the stadium and the road games to start the year off is just too much to overcome?
You're missing Para. You don't know where the fuck you're playing. You're starting on the road, and almost everyone else got better.
Mm-hmm. Which again, it's a real shame because I think it's a really good coach. They have really good players. They have Arthur Rogers, who's maybe the best player in the league, and a lot of this other stuff is again going to be kind of the distraction and kind of lead to some interesting situations and everything else. And it's just one of those like, man, like if they could just get their poop in a group off the field, they could be just so good. But unfortunately, that's not the situation, which I'm sure there's going to be a team that this year that's very happy that they don't have their situation together.
If NoCo does well, it's going to be because their defense did enough to get them to turn losses into draws. But it's just really hard to feel confident about them.
I'm okay going out on a limb and saying they'll lead the league in draws. They'll be the Forward Madison of, what was it, 2 years ago that led the league in draws?
Yeah.
I think NoCo will lead the league in draws. I think they will be fine. Like a draw to them on the road will be like a win, and a draw at home will be like, all right, we can manage this. Like I feel like they're at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say they're kind of in the same boat as like Forward Madison and Charlotte for me right now. Like a lot of really talented players.
I find that insulting. I find that insulting.
The thing is, and I see why you say that. Like, but the thing is, they have a lot of really talented players. right? And you know that the end of the season is going to be probably really strong. And so that's where I'm like, the beginning is going to be horrible. It's going to be an absolute crapshoot as far as how they're going to get on. But when Parra comes back, you got Billy King settling in, who's a fantastic player and fits into their system perfectly. You've got a really good defense as far as helping get the ball forward. You got Arthur Rodgers putting stuff in. I think they have the talent to come back up a little bit towards the end of the season. With Madison, again, it's the same thing of like they've got a really great striker who can make stuff happen. Not really sure about everything else up front. And then they've got a great defense. And so for me, there's just those certain question marks that prevent me from putting them higher. And that's kind of, I didn't really know where to put those three. Like, honestly, Madison could have been 7th for me, just because I think with those question marks right now for me, that's what's keeping me from putting any of these in one particular spot. But that's kind of why I put Noco a little bit higher, because I felt like, they could, with Parra coming back and Stadium kind of settling in, they could really make a really big push for at least not making.
I don't think the stadium will be done.
You're probably right.
I don't.
You're probably right, but who knows?
And I definitely see what you're saying, Brandon. It makes sense. I think for me, you talk about like that end of the season, like run. I think it'll be like a Tucson where it's like they just dug themselves too deep in a hole.
Yep. I agree. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah. I just think it's too big of a hole that they're digging themselves in between with the uncertainty of the road. Mm-hmm. I think just losing Parra is gonna be huge.
Yeah. No, that beginning of the season is gonna be absolutely like horrible. Yeah. I feel like it's gonna be great for everybody else.
All right, so that is what the league prediction is. Kyle, do we have enough time to go through fan questions, or should we save those?
I mean, that's up to you guys.
I think we said the average, so let's just run down what the table is real quick, because that's on top of that table.
All right, is the table up top?
Yep.
Okay,
it's right above there. I have it with the team and the average.
All right, so this is what the team table we think will look like at the season's end. Greenville will be number 1. Tormenta will be 2. There will be your top 2 seeds. Richmond and NCFC will be 3 and 4. Union Omaha and One Knox will be your 5th and 6th seed. Just missing the playoffs will be 4 and Madison and 7. 8, 9, and 10 will be Charlotte, NoCo, and Chattanooga Red Wolves. 11 will be Lexington. Fuego will be 12. And I don't know if this is one of the fan questions. It was an interesting question that kind of caught my attention. Oh, matter of fact, we can go to it. It was a fan question.
So this one, it came from Benjamin Whitfield at that one FedEx guy, and he did ask, do you think the table will be just as tight this year, or will we see some more separation, kind of like Greenville in 2020?
2020 was such a weird year because it was the COVID year, and you didn't play a full schedule of games. I think everyone played.
One is an unbalanced schedule too.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason why. What was the gap last year between the first seed and the second seed? Like 30 points?
Hold on. Wait, in 2020?
No, yeah. Last year.
Okay. Last year, Richmond was first with 51. Second was Greenville with 46. But then third was Tormenta, 45. Fourth and fifth were Omaha and Chattanooga with 43. 6 and 7 were Charlotte and NoCo, 42. Fuego was 8th with 40.
And then it fell off the cliff.
And then it was Madison at 33 at 9th, Tucson 10th at 32, and then North Carolina at the bottom with 30. So it was pretty close between pretty much 2 and...
So roughly 22 points.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
21 points from top to bottom was the gap.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but you had 2nd to 8 was all within 5 points, so like a game and a half of each other. And then, I think Tormenta, like we talked about earlier, who finished 3rd, could have missed the playoffs and ended up being the 3rd seed and then winning the championship. So
roughly we're saying between the team that finished first, Greenville, and the team we picked to finish bottom, Fuego, do we think that point gap is going to be bigger? Pretty much is the over under 20, and I'm going over.
I think it's going to be bigger.
For context, in 2021, Omaha was at top of 51, and bottom was NCFC with 25.
So wait, say that one more time.
26. In 2021, it was 26 points. NCFC was at bottom of 25. And this was in 28 matches. Omaha was top of 51.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
a 26-point gap from top
So
to bottom.
let's just make that over under 24. Chip, over under 24.
Push. There's 2 more games. There's 2 more games too, though. So let's say over. There's 2 more games. So yeah, over.
Okay. Brandon,
Yeah, over.
Kyle.
Over. Fuego's not going to be good.
All right. Yeah, I'll go to over. I'll take the over. All right.
Do we want the other question?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because I think it's a good one. From Mike Umberger at CLT_Charlton. Which intra-league transfer will have the biggest impact on their new team? So like Mike Maldonado, Don Smart, Kristen Cheney, etc.
I think you can answer this question 2 ways. So for me personally, I think the biggest impact will be Don Smart at Lexington. Like just because now granted, like I said, they won't win a lot of games, but I think Don Smart has been brought into there to be like a coach on the field. Like, and I think like he will really mature. Like you won't see the effects of it, Don Smart on your team till after he leaves next year, but maybe he'll leave to go to NoCo next year to play for them. Who knows? Maybe Don Smart plays for every team in USL.
He'll go to Spokane.
Maybe so. Who knows? He probably will. But I think he'll have the biggest impact just because I think he'll have that veteran leadership for that team. I don't think they haven't announced who their captain is yet, have they?
I don't think really anybody has yet.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I was going to say anyone, I would assume if any new teams, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Kalen Fox or Don Smart over in Lexington.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. But I go Don Smart. I think, but the one with the biggest impact it has to be Rafa Mentigan, right? Like, we talk about a guy that is low-key put Chattanooga on his back to the playoffs. Yeah. And I think all the new toys he got to know NCFC, I think it's going to be some fun.
I would say either Kristen Cheney or I'll say 3. Kristen Cheney, Louis Perez, Mascherano over at Omaha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'd throw in Kalen Fox too. I think he was one of the best players in the league last year. Tucson had that big resurgence last year. He's going to have the opportunity to play on a Lexington team that needs some help. But I think anybody in the league wanted him, and the fact that he went there is probably a big sign of his faith in what's happening there. And it'll be interesting to see, especially if they can live, or especially if they end up being pretty good. He's probably going to be a big reason why.
Yeah. I'm going to say Cheney. If anybody is going to fix what was broken in Madison last year, it's going to be the guy who gets in really good positions in front of goal. And so, that was the biggest glaring issue. Madison's play was beautiful until you got into the final third, and then you're like, what the heck is going on? So, because they couldn't even get touches in the box. I think Cheney will be that impact guy who, if anybody can make a change on that team, he's going to be it. Because I think they've got everything else on lock still, like they did last year. They just couldn't get in front. They couldn't score goals.
I think Jalen Chrysler will also be huge for Knoxville.
Yeah.
He's going to patrol. He's going to marshal that back line. If Knoxville is as good defensively as we think, it's going to be because of him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of answers, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right. We have other listener questions, but we're not going to go over those because no one wants to listen to a 2-hour podcast. And I think Chip desperately needs sleep.
The Jays are playing. I need to go see that. So
yeah, I was going to say the other ones I feel like will be better later because
so we'll save those for later. But
focus.
Yes. So once again, listeners, if you have listener questions, when we drop that tweet out early Wednesday or midday Wednesday, engage with it.
How about Tuesday? Because it's more time to prepare.
Yeah, we'll do it Tuesday. We'll drop the tweet out Tuesday, have you engage with it. And who knows? If we get enough listener questions, we might do a listener questioner podcast. Who knows? But yeah, guys, I think we did a good job of predicting the season. We know it's going to be wild. It's going to be wonky. It's going to be all over the place. USL Championship happens this weekend. And then next week, the real fun begins. The real fun starts. USL Leagues will kick off March 17th, NCFC versus Tormenta. I'm trying to get my way down there to hang out to see that matchup. I think I might do that. But guys, before we leave, any last things from y'all before we end the show?
Be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff. We're going to have some cool stuff coming out. I would say just do that. And also, if I'm going to be wrong, I really hope my keeper of the year pick is going to be the one that's like embarrassingly wrong, as opposed to some of the other picks I had.
Brandon, Chip, anything from y'all?
I just can't wait for Lexington to win the league this year, and all of us have picked.
No, Fuego. If Fuego wins the league, we're definitely going to have to be
That's
like,
Yeah, and that's it. I just want to say that if anybody has complaints, definitely use the email that Yogi gave, my email earlier, Brandon@walking90.com. I don't take any responsibility for any of my picks. I don't care what you think. So,
oh man. Once again, listeners, we thank you so much for checking us out, taking up with us tonight. As always, we can't do this show without you. And as always, support your local media outlets out there. This show has been crazy. We've had porn chat in here. We've had everything, folks. So that's an indication how this year is going to go. It's going to be hella fun. But as always, y'all, we will holler at y'all next time. Be easy, be safe. Catch you guys on the good side.